We are back live from the PlayStation booth at E3 2015, Day 2. I'm joined now by James Silva from Ska Studios. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You are showing off your new title on the floor, Salt and Sanctuary.
Yes.
But our viewers probably know you from a couple other games, the Dishwasher series.
Yep, Dishwasher, Dead Samurai, Dishwasher, Vampire Smile.
And Charlie Murder,
Yep.
which came out, what, a year ago, 2 years ago at this point?
13.
13,
Yeah,
2 years ago.
Yeah.
But this new one, I love it because it feels very familiar to the things that you've done, but it looks like you've really sort of built on your aesthetic and your style, but also your gameplay mechanics to make something that's much more deep.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of Dishwasher feel. It's funny, a lot of people haven't heard of the Dishwasher. So we describe it as like, it's got Castlevania, it's got Dark Souls, it's got the Dishwasher, and they'll say, okay, no, the first two. But yeah, if you haven't played it, it's a stylistic action 2D platformer. A lot of emphasis on really exacting combat, really visceral feeling combat. And yeah, we have Michelle playing. She's invisible.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. And yeah, she's playing as a cleric. There's for the purpose of the demo here that we've been showing at E3, we have 4 canned classes that we just built. 4 preset characters. The actual game you have I think we have like 7 starting classes. That's subject to change.
Okay.
And it's a totally freeform character building system. So you can start as like a paladin, and then decide halfway through, like, what, I really want to wield like a massive great axe, and you just start putting points toward that, and you'll take your character build, and depending on what your character build is, you'll have a vastly different gameplay experience, and it's an action game, so the amount of variety is really huge.
So what just happened here? We threw a candelabra down.
Yes.
Somewhere and leveled up.
So the game's it kind of centers around sanctuaries, which are safe places where you can claim them for your creed. And this kind of like follows a very Game of Thrones feel, where it's like, which gods do you keep? Do you keep the old or the new? And there's all these different creeds in this universe. And so Michelle, she is of the creed of the 3, and she claimed that sanctuary for the 3. And now if she dies, she'll be revived to that sanctuary. She can level up at that sanctuary. She can add villagers to that sanctuary and build it out that way.
Oh wow!
So if she finds like a blacksmith statue, she can offer that up at the sanctuary and summon a blacksmith villager. Where it gets cool is if you bring a guide villager into your sanctuary, that now becomes a fast travel hub. So you can generate like a network of hubs, however you want. Yeah, it's.
So you're kind of building this sort of religious village that kind of serves all the purposes of the functions that we would expect to see in sort of an open world game or a RPG.
Yeah, and it's more like it's more like a culture, I guess, than But I mean, it all fits within the lore of the game.
Yeah,
it's all explained.
So
trust me.
Yeah. So you said she's following the 3. She can choose other gods, or are you assigned gods? Right,
yeah. So at the very start, you meet an old man. He asks you what your background story is, and then he gives you an icon, of that creed. You can switch creeds, but then you become an apostate.
Okay.
And then, I mean, depending on the creed, they might just be kind of annoyed with you, or they might be openly hostile with you, the one you left.
And I would imagine that depending on which creed you decide to follow, different things happen for your character.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much comes down to how your sanctuary gets built out. So, it's different NPCs, different villagers. You can buy different things from them. The greater gameplay experience it's not that changed, but it's if you want to use weapons that are unique to certain creeds, then you'd go with one over the other. And some are more secret than others. Some are more malicious than others. But at the same time, you can kind of just pick the default one and go at it, and it'll still be an awesome game.
Interesting. And so, how is the world sort of built out here? When you are moving along, are you sort of exploring in any direction you want?
So it's a totally open world, totally seamless, everything interconnected. We really like that feeling when you're just following a path around and you open a door and you're like, oh, I'm back here again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just opening up all these shortcuts and passageways. So it's all It's I'm like don't die. Oh, curb stomp.
Oh wow, that was brutal.
It's all open. It's all interconnected. Yeah, you can tackle it any way you want. I mean, there are a lot of areas where it opens up, and you can there are optional bosses, there are optional paths, and then there's a couple bottlenecks, like a couple bosses that you have to defeat.
And I would imagine going through the wrong door at any given time is probably pretty rough.
It can be just a nice adventure that takes you somewhere. Pretty much, if you can go somewhere, it's just try it out. But yeah, we do like one of the core pillars is just really kick-ass bosses. Other than that, just a total exploration, total diversity of character builds.
So going into the inventory system here, it looked like there was quite a lot of different categories, quite a lot of things you can do. Are we looking at something where you're using a lot of items? Are we crafting anything?
So there's a transmutation system. You can get an alchemist villager into your sanctuary, and you'll find enemies will drop ears sometimes, ashes sometimes. Those are alchemical ingredients that you can use to transmute weapons into better weapons. And you're basically building your character toward proficiencies in certain weapons. And through alchemy, you can end up getting really good weapons that you have to build your character up enough to wield.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of different ways you can explore your character, build your character out. A lot of things to find.
It looks like Megan just threw on a whole new set of armor there.
Michelle,
sorry.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah. So she put on the thief armor. So now she is a cleric wearing thief armor. And she's been wielding the dagger, doing flip kicks. We have a lot of lifter combos. Like the lifter from Dishwasher is something that I really wanted to
kind of throw people up in the air and then juggle them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a heavy feeling medieval RPG, but you can air combo. But the air combos feel good. We had a lot of people coming by our booth who were like, so I heard this is like a Souls-like, what's it? And they play it and they're like, oh, this feels really good. Because you see a game, you're like, well, how does it play? And
because I think you associate that sort of medieval RPG look with a certain pacing and a certain feel normally, right? You think of it as being a more kind of slowly deliberate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So with this, it's been about balancing it with that deliberate feel, but then we also want a very visceral, stylistic combat to it. Yeah, it's been something we've been exploring and balancing and working on. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. But
Michelle opened up her when she went back to the sanctuary. She made an offering and opened up her skill tree.
Skill tree, yeah.
Which zoomed out into a gigantic.
Boom! Look at that.
That is a lot.
Yeah. So it's kind of overwhelming, and it's not finished. I want to emphasize the game's not finished.
That skill tree is going to be 5 to 6 times larger when he's done. It's going to be like 9 times larger than that. No.
You heard it. Yeah, you heard it here first. Yeah. So the skill tree is it's basically proficiency nodes and stat nodes. And I don't know how technical I should get into this, but stats are basically you've got stats like strength, dexterity, and then proficiencies like are you like a level 3 sword fighter? Or so if you're a level 3 sword fighter, you can wield class 3 swords. But to get to there, you might have to go through some dexterity, some strength. Maybe you want to head more toward endurance to wield better armor.
Okay. So I saw she's kind of drawing a path.
Yeah.
And those paths between the two nodes are sort of set.
Yeah.
So it looked like there were different ways to get to the same skills.
Sure.
And they sort of connect back around towards a common goal.
Yeah, and the idea is you're telling a story about your training, and the story can take different paths, but if you're going towards sword fighting, you're going to hit more dexterity nodes than strength nodes. If you're going toward wielding giant axes, you're going more towards strength than dex.
Oh, it looks like we found a boss.
Boss fight. All right. This will be.
So she is a cleric with thief armor right now,
right?
Yeah,
and I want to emphasize that it's just starting class is just a starting class. It has no bearing on there's nothing attached to that. You can level yourself out any way you want.
But her particular character, as it stands right now, is sort of proficient in what that she's going to be using against this boss?
Well, because she's a starting character, it's pretty much blank slate for everyone. So she's actually kicking a lot of ass with that mace right now. It's funny, we just added a phase 2 to this guy, so now he basically just launches into this flurry.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, starting cleric, I think really just prayers is what they're good with, and Michelle's basically just wielding a mace and oh my gosh, get out of there!
Oh, where's it gonna go?
Mace and mace and dagger, and the mace is gonna do some work on him because he's got heavy armor, and we have difference between blunt and bladed
So
damage.
there's definitely a lot of thought that goes into each encounter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. It's been a dream for me to do this because I can really obsess over details. And yeah, I mean the boss, he's got so many attack patterns. You know, we just added phases. I don't know if I finished that thought. I got distracted. But you know, so halfway through, his eyes will start glowing, and he'll enter phase 2. And phase 2 is just it's flurries. Like phase 1, he's more slow. He's like, here's one attack, here's another attack. Phase 2, he starts chaining attacks together. You know, I mean, it's all about anticipating timing. You know, it usually comes down to trying to get behind him when he's doing something really horrible. Yeah, I mean, these bosses, like, to me, they're set pieces. You know,
Yeah.
they're so important. I think right now we've got like 22 boss fights in the game, and
That's huge.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been so much fun working on them. Like we have bosses that are just way bigger than the screen. Like the camera has to zoom out to fit them all in there.
I love that. And I would imagine later on, as we go,
Here it
becomes
comes.
this
Boom.
nice. It becomes the sort of thing where it's like, okay, I'm looking at this guy from a distance. I know I'm about to fight him. What am I equipping? What are my skills? What am I doing right now? How can I best? Yeah, and so it feels like it's going to become very thoughtful as things go on.
Yeah. No, it's been a dream working on it. It's been so much fun, and yeah, so glad she.
Yeah,
I had faith in her the whole time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean.
So when are we going to be seeing Salt and Sanctuary?
So the release date is to be determined.
Okay.
It'll be on PS4 and Vita, and you can follow us on. We are Ska-Studios.com. I don't know if we can put that some.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, and we're on the Twitters and all that good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, all the
well,
stuff.
thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
I really
us.
appreciate it. Salt and Sanctuary.
PlayStation